Okay, so we're going to start by simplifying rationals. That's what we're going to do today. Yes, we are. So before we start, if I have y to the fifth over y to the second, y to the fifth over y to the second. So we subtract our exponents, right? So 5 minus 2 would give me y to the third. Okay? All right. Kind of. So look at number 1. 4 over 12. So what can I reduce both of those by? 4. So if I divide 4 by 4, I get 1. 12 by 4, I get 3. So then I have 3 minus 7 and 4 minus 2. So 3 minus 7 gives me x to the negative 4. So when I get a negative exponent, what do I do with it? Move it to the bottom, and what do I do with the exponent? Make it positive. And this is y to the second is positive, so it stays on top. Is that good? We're all good, right? It is. So look at the next one. Let's just look at the top to start with. So the 8 and the 2, what do they have in common? 2. And then I have x to the third and x to the second. What's my smallest exponent? X squared. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. Minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So we don't have any x's left. It's all right. Just listen. So I just factored out the 2x squared. On the bottom, I'm going to factor out the common factor out of that also. So there's nothing in common between the 4 and the 1, right? And then look at the variable. What's the smallest exponent? 1. So I'm going to put a 1 here. So I'm going to have 4. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. And 1 minus 1 is... I'm just taking out what they both have in each term. So can I reduce now? So do these match? So these cancel out. If I have x squared on top and x on bottom, can I cancel? Because 2 minus 1, so I get 2x. That's okay. We're going to do another one. So x minus 5, can we do anything on top? I can't. So I'm going to leave x minus 5. So 4 and 20, what do they have in common? 4. So then, if you look at the lowest exponent, what is the lowest exponent? Which is 1. So I'm going to put a 1 here. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 1 minus 1, I don't have any left. So now what cancels? So I end up with 1 over 4x. Because we can't just leave it blank on top. Okay, on top, 9x plus 36. The 9 and the 36, what do they have in common? 9. Is there an x in both terms? So I can't factor out an x. So the 9 divided by 9 is 1, but I still have an x, right? And then 36 divided by 9 is 4. So now, the way this is written, we can't factor like this because it's backwards. So first of all, we can't have a negative x squared. So, what? I'm going to, well, not move it, but what would happen if I factor out a negative 1? What happens to the 8? It switches the signs. So if I do that, so can I write it this way? Because now I can factor what's on bottom. I can do the A times C and B with the inside here. And what are the factors here? 2 and positive, so negative 2, positive 4, because I want a positive 2, right? So here's what I have. So what cancels? And it leaves me, what's 9 divided by negative 1? Negative 9, right? So I'm just going to put negative 9 over x minus 2. All right, so factor the top and then factor the bottom and see if anything cancels. Okay, so if you take your A times C, okay, first, if you're sitting here with nothing on your paper, you're just sad. So A times C, and then what cancels? And it leaves x minus 3 over x plus 5. No. So if I do A times C this time, you're going to use your factors. What? What common denominator would you use? Where? What? There's no 6 in front of the x squared.
So only if it's in front of the x squared.
Okay. So it was in all of the numbers. But it's not in all of the numbers here. Like it's in the 4 and the 20. It's in the 9 and the 36. But there's nothing in front of the x squared, so you can't factor there. So how does this factor? 3 and 3. Negative 2 and positive 3. So, yes, ma'am. Because it's A times C and B. So A is 1, C is negative 6, and B is 1. So what cancels? So this time when I factor on top, if I take A times C, I get negative 4 and 3. And A times C is 6 and negative 7. So what's this one going to factor to? 1, but minus 1? Yeah. 4 and negative 1. You're looking for factors here. So negative 6, negative 1. But now this time, what's the leading coefficient? 2x squared, right? So I'm going to have 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 4. And then on bottom, I'm going to have 2x minus 6 and 2x minus 1. Right. So before I go any further, can I cancel anything? What can I cancel? So these cancel. So right here, 2x plus 4, can I reduce that? What's in? Right. So on top, that reduces to x plus 2, and this reduces to, and so that's your answer. Okay, almost. Close. Very, very close, though. So on top, so now I couldn't take out the 2 because what's the middle term? Does that divide by 2? No. But 9x squared minus 81. I can take 9 from both of those, right? So I get 9, and that gives me x squared minus 9. And what can I take out of the bottom?
6.
I can take 6 from all of them. So then it's easier to factor. So on top, what do we know about x squared minus 9? Is it a perfect square? So can I do x plus 3, x minus 3 on top? And on bottom, my a times c is 9 and negative 6. So I'm going to have negative 3 and negative 3. Like if you just put the 6x?
Like, I'm talking about instead of doing like, where you find like how diagonal to both of the things, could you just do it like the regular way where you do like negative 81 divided by 5?
Because it's still a perfect square, so that would be 3x plus 9 and 3x minus 9. And then the 3x plus 9 and 3x minus 9, that would reduce to x plus 3. So you get the same answer. Okay? So here I'm going to cancel. And 9 over 6, what does that reduce to? 3 over 2. And I think we're getting close. Is this the last one? Okay, so ask yourself, what do they have in common on top? 6, and what's the smallest exponent on the x's? Okay, so I'm going to take 6x. And then, so 6x, 6 divided by 6 is 1. X squared divided by x leaves me with 1x, right? And then plus, what's 18 divided by 6? 3. And what happens with these x's? They cancel. What do they have in common on bottom? 6. And what's the smallest exponent on the x? X squared. So I'm going to put 6x squared. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with x squared plus 2x minus 3. So does this factor, Holly? I would say yes if I were you. Okay. So you get negative 3 and 2. 3 and negative 1. So I'm going to have 6x times x plus 3. Now what cancels? The x plus 3. What about the 6's? They cancel as well. Now I have x on top and 2 x's on bottom. What happens? So if I have 1x on top and 2 x's on bottom, what cancels? This x cancels with this, and what does it leave me? Just 1x on the bottom. So you end up with 1